You know that feeling when you keep putting something off, thinking you have all the time in the world? That's how I felt about the attic. For months, I'd promised myself I'd clean it out, get rid of the junk that had piled up over the years. But every weekend, I found an excuse to do something else. I'll get to it next time, I'd tell myself. Then, last Friday, I found a note in my mailbox. No return address, just an old, crumpled paper with my name scrawled on it. The message was simple: time's running out. I laughed it off, thinking it was some weird prank, but that night, something changed. At 3 a.m., I awoke to a faint ticking sound. My house was silent, and the noise seemed to be coming from the attic. I'd never heard it before. My heart raced as I crept up the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The closer I got, the louder the ticking became. When I opened the attic door, the cold air hit me like a wave. There, in the corner, was an old clock I'd never seen before, its hands spinning uncontrollably. But what terrified me wasn't the clock, it was the reflection in its glass. Staring back at me was an older version of myself, gaunt and hollow-eyed, as if years had passed in a blink. I tried to back away, but I was frozen. The clock's ticking grew deafening. Then the reflection spoke. You wasted your time. Now time's wasting you. I slammed the attic door and ran back to bed, but the ticking followed me, echoing in my mind. The next morning, the note was gone, but the sound wasn't. I hear it every night, reminding me of all the things I never did, all the time I thought I had. Now, I don't sleep. I don't rest, because time doesn't stop, and neither does the ticking. Moral of the story: don't wait until it's too late. Time is relentless, and the things you put off today may come back to haunt you tomorrow.
It started with a simple complaint, a small grumble about the weather. The day was gloomy, the sky a constant shade of gray, and the rain wouldn't stop. I remember muttering under my breath, "Just my luck," as I rushed inside, soaked and irritated. From that moment, everything felt off. The house seemed darker, the rooms colder. But the real change came in the evening. As I sat alone, stewing over the miserable day, I heard it, whispers. Soft, barely audible, but unmistakable. They seemed to seep out of the walls, growing louder the more I complained. It's always like this. Nothing ever goes right for me. The whispers echoed my thoughts, feeding off my bitterness. The next day was no better. The whispers followed me everywhere, at work, in the car, even in my dreams. They weren't just sounds anymore. They had a presence. Dark shapes moved in my peripheral vision, shadows that twisted and writhed whenever I voiced another complaint. I tried to ignore them, but they clung to me, growing stronger with each negative thought. By the third day, I was consumed. The whispers became voices, mocking every gripe, every moan. Keep complaining, they urged, their tones dripping with malice. Give us more to feed on. The shadows grew, their forms more distinct, their whispers more insistent. I realized then that my negativity had summoned them, beings that thrived on misery and despair. The more I fed them with my complaints, the more powerful they became. I tried to stop, to think positively, but it was too late. The shadows had taken root, and they weren't leaving. Now I'm trapped in a world of darkness, surrounded by whispers that never cease. The shadows are everywhere, a constant reminder of the negativity I allowed to fester. They won't leave, not until I've paid the price for all the time I wasted dwelling on what was wrong, instead of seeing what was right. The whispers. They're louder now. They know I can't escape. The moral. Negativity and complaining can create shadows in your life, darkness that feeds on your unhappiness. Break free before the whispers become too loud to silence.
I've always prided myself on being observant. I can read people like a book, I'd say. But honestly, it was just an excuse to judge others. I'd mentally pick apart strangers, how they dressed, talked, and even walked. It became a habit, a way to feel superior. One evening, I was at a coffee shop, sipping my drink and silently critiquing everyone around me. A man walked in, disheveled and weary-looking. I scoffed, thinking, he's probably a loser with no ambition. I didn't think much of it and left soon after. That night, something strange happened. As I brushed my teeth, I glanced in the mirror and saw the man from the coffee shop, his tired eyes staring back at me from my own reflection. I blinked, startled, but he was gone, shaking it off as a trick of the light. I went to bed. The next day, I noticed subtle changes. When I looked in the mirror, my face seemed different. The judgmental thoughts still came, but now, every time I criticized someone, a feature of theirs appeared in my reflection, a wrinkle, a scar, a smirk. By the end of the week, my face was unrecognizable, a patchwork of all the people I had judged. Panic set in. I avoided mirrors, but it didn't help. I could feel the changes, the weight of my judgments dragging me down. The worst part? I started seeing those distorted features on other people, as if they were wearing masks of their own judgments. Desperate, I stopped judging others altogether, but the damage was done. My reflection was no longer my own. It was a twisted version of everyone I'd looked down on, a grotesque reminder of my arrogance. Now, every time I pass a mirror, I see them, the people I judged, staring back at me, their eyes filled with the same disdain I once held. They follow me everywhere, silent but ever present, a reflection of my inner ugliness. And no matter what I do, I can't get rid of them. The moral, judging others only distorts your own perception of the world and yourself. Be careful, or you might just become the reflection of everything you despise.
Remember, the darkest tales often hold the brightest lessons. If you found today's story chilling yet inspiring, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales that haunt your thoughts and stir your soul. Life's scariest truths are the ones we must face, so let's confront them together, one story at a time. Stay sharp, stay aware, and remember, your actions define your fate. See you in the next story.